Under the silver glow of the full moon, deep in the heart of an ancient jungle, a legend whispered through the trees, the legend of the Naga Prince. Half man, half serpent, he was the guardian of the sacred waters, unseen by human eyes until one fateful night. Aravi, a young village girl, had always been drawn to the forbidden lake. The elders warned her never to step near it after dark, for the spirits of the Nagas roamed there. But curiosity, or perhaps fate, led her feet toward the shimmering water one night. As she knelt to touch the cool surface, the ripples stirred unnaturally. Suddenly, a figure emerged, a man with piercing golden eyes, long dark hair, and a strange aura of both danger and allure. His bare chest glistened under the moonlight, and his lower body was hidden beneath the water. "Who are you?" Aravi whispered, heart pounding. "The one who has watched you from the shadows for years," the stranger replied, his voice deep and hypnotic. "I am Vasuki, the Naga Prince." Aravi gasped. The very creatures her village feared, the legendary serpent beings, were real. But rather than flee, she found herself captivated by him. His eyes held an otherworldly sadness, a loneliness she somehow understood. That night marked the beginning of a love neither of them expected nor could escape. Every night, Aravi sneaked away to the lake, meeting Vasuki in secret. He told her of the Naga world hidden beneath the lake, an underground kingdom of shimmering palaces, glowing waters, and a strict law forbidding love between Nagas and humans. But why? Aravi asked one night, her fingers tracing patterns on his arm. Because our love would bring destruction, Vasuki murmured, his golden eyes clouded with worry. If my father, the Naga king, discovers us, he will have no mercy. Yet neither could stay away. Their love grew stronger, defying the warnings, defying destiny. But fate is a cruel master. One stormy night, a villager saw Aravi at the lake, talking to the shadows. When she returned home, whispers spread like wildfire. "She is cursed," they said. "She speaks to demons." The village priest was summoned. He was an old man with eyes that burned with hatred for the Nagas. "She has been bewitched," he declared. "We must purify her." Aravi was dragged to the temple, her wrists bound, as the priest prepared a ritual to sever any supernatural ties. "Confess, child," he demanded. "Who have you been meeting?" She clenched her jaw, refusing to betray Vasuki. But her silence was her doom. The priest poured sacred ash over her, chanting mantras. The air crackled, and suddenly, pain seared through her veins. Far beneath the lake, Vasuki sensed her agony. A roar of fury escaped his lips. His beloved was in danger. Without a second thought, he broke the sacred laws of his kind. That night, the Naga Prince left the water and stepped onto human land. Vasuki arrived at the temple just as Aravi collapsed. His golden eyes burned with fury. The villagers shrieked as they saw his true form, his lower half shifting into a massive, coiled serpent. "You dare harm her?" His voice thundered. In an instant, the priest was flung aside by an unseen force. But before Vasuki could take Aravi away, the ground beneath him trembled. A furious hiss filled the air. From the shadows, a monstrous serpent emerged, scales black as the void, eyes like molten gold. "The Naga King. You have broken our law," the king's voice echoed, filled with disappointment and rage. "You have forsaken your duty for a mere human." Vasuki shielded Aravi, his heart pounding. "I love her, father. I will not abandon her." The king's gaze darkened. "Then you have chosen your own doom." With a single strike of his massive tail, darkness engulfed them. Darkness swallowed them whole. Aravi felt as if she was sinking into an abyss, her body weightless yet gripped by an invisible force. She reached out, blindly searching for Vasuki. "Vasuki," she cried. "I'm here." His voice was distant, strained. Then, suddenly, light. Aravi gasped as they found themselves no longer in the village temple but in a massive underground chamber. Towering serpent statues lined the walls, their jeweled eyes glowing with an eerie light. The air was thick with power, and at the center of it all, seated on an obsidian throne, was the Naga King. His golden eyes burned with anger. Around them, shadowy figures of Naga warriors stood ready, their hands gripping weapons carved from enchanted bone. "You have broken the sacred laws, Vasuki," the king thundered. "You have exposed our kind. And worse, you have fallen for a human." Vasuki stepped in front of Aravi protectively. "I love her, father. I will not deny it." The Naga King's jaw clenched. "Then you shall suffer the consequences." He raised a clawed hand, and Vasuki's body convulsed. Aravi screamed as Vasuki fell to his knees, golden scales appearing and disappearing from his skin as if his very essence was being torn apart. "Stop," she pleaded, tears streaming down her face. The king's gaze snapped to her. "And you, human girl, do you know what your love has done? You have condemned him to exile from our realm." Aravi's breath hitched. "Exile?" The king's voice was cold. "He will be stripped of his powers. He will no longer be Naga. He will be neither human nor serpent, a cursed being, wandering between worlds, unable to return to either." A deadly silence filled the chamber. Vasuki lifted his head, pain flashing in his golden eyes. "No." "Or," the king continued, "you can make a choice, girl. If you truly love my son, you must leave him forever." Aravi's heart stopped. "Leave him," she whispered. The king leaned forward, his presence suffocating. "If you return to your world and never see him again, I will spare him. He will remain the Naga Prince, but you must erase yourself from his life. He will forget you. You will be nothing to him." Aravi looked at Vasuki, her hands trembling. He was still on his knees, his breath ragged, his beautiful golden eyes filled with pain. How could she choose? Lose him forever, or watch him suffer a fate worse than death? "No," Vasuki's voice was hoarse. He struggled to his feet, ignoring the agony coursing through him. "I won't let you do this, Aravi." She took a deep breath, forcing herself to stay strong. "If I stay with you, you'll be cursed forever," she whispered. "You'll lose everything, Vasuki." He shook his head. "I'd rather lose everything than lose you." The Naga King exhaled sharply. "Then so be it." With a wave of his hand, dark energy crackled around Vasuki. His body convulsed again, his form shifting wildly, half human, half serpent, yet unable to stabilize. His golden eyes widened in agony. "No!" Aravi screamed. The ground beneath them cracked. The lake's waters above trembled. Then, a blinding light. And when it faded, Vasuki was gone. Aravi collapsed to the ground, gasping for breath. The Naga warriors stepped back, murmuring among themselves. The king's voice was solemn. "It is done." She whipped her head up. "Where is he?" The king's expression was unreadable. "Banished from both our worlds. Neither Naga nor human. He will roam, forever seeking what he has lost, but never remembering it." Aravi's chest ached. He wouldn't remember her. Would he? Her fingers curled into fists. "No," she whispered. "I won't accept this." The king's golden eyes narrowed. "What will you do, human?" She stood, fire in her gaze. "I will find him." A chuckle echoed through the chamber. "You will die trying." Aravi met his stare, unyielding. "Then I will die with him." The king's expression faltered for a brief moment. Then, with a sigh, he turned away. "Foolish girl. Your fate is sealed." As the chamber's lights dimmed, Aravi felt herself being pulled away, back to the human world. The last thing she saw was the golden glow of the Naga King's eyes, watching her with something that almost looked like sorrow. Aravi awoke with a sharp gasp, her body aching as if she had been torn apart and stitched back together. The underground chamber was gone. The Naga King was gone. Vasuki was gone. She was lying on the shores of the sacred lake, the village temple bells ringing faintly in the distance. For a moment, she thought it had all been a nightmare. But as she pushed herself up, she felt something cold against her palm. A golden scale. Her breath hitched. He was real. Everything was real. And now he was lost. The search for the forgotten one. Days turned into weeks. Weeks into months. Aravi scoured the forests, wandered through temples, and questioned wandering sages, seeking answers. But no one had seen or heard of a man with golden eyes. Vasuki had vanished. She refused to believe he was lost forever. The Naga King had said he would roam between worlds, neither human nor serpent. That meant he was out there, somewhere, cursed and alone. And she would find him. Her search led her to the Hermit of the Whispering Caves, an old man rumored to know the secrets of lost souls. "You seek the Forgotten One," the hermit murmured, his blind eyes staring past her. "The cursed Naga Prince." Aravi's heart pounded. "You know where he is?" The old man exhaled. "He walks among men, yet he is not one of them. He does not remember his past, but his heart still yearns for something or someone." His gaze locked onto her. "And yet, if you find him, he may not know you at all." Aravi swallowed hard. "I don't care. Tell me where he is." The hermit reached into a small clay bowl, pulling out a handful of white ash. He blew it into the air, and the dust swirled, forming an image, a vast desert, shifting sand stretching endlessly. "The city of dunes," he whispered. "That is where he wanders." Aravi clenched her fists. "I'm going to bring him back." The hermit chuckled. "Love is a dangerous thing, child. Are you prepared for what you may find?" She didn't hesitate. "Yes." A stranger with golden eyes. The journey to the city of dunes was brutal. The desert was unforgiving, the heat merciless, but Aravi pushed forward. She refused to stop. Days later, exhausted and covered in dust, she stumbled into a marketplace filled with traders and nomads. She scanned the crowd desperately. And then, her breath caught. A man stood by a merchant stall, examining a silver dagger. His long dark hair was tied back, his broad shoulders relaxed, his face the same as she remembered. But his eyes, those golden eyes, were empty. Her heart pounded as she stepped forward. "Vasuki." He turned sharply, his gaze locking onto hers. For a brief second, something flickered in his expression. Recognition? Confusion? But then, nothing. "I'm sorry," he said, his voice deep but unfamiliar. "Do I know you?" Aravi felt her world shatter. But she refused to let go. "You do," she whispered. "You just don't remember." His brows furrowed, his fingers tightening around the dagger. "Who are you?" Tears burned in her eyes, but she smiled. "The girl who loved you enough to defy the gods." A strange tension filled the air between them. For a moment, he simply stared at her. Then, his fingers twitched. A flash of something. A memory trying to surface. But before he could speak, a sharp hiss filled the air. Aravi barely had time to react before a figure lunged at Vasuki, clad in dark robes, eyes glowing with an unnatural red light. A Naga assassin. "Get away from him, human," the assassin snarled, striking with a blade meant to kill. Vasuki's instincts took over. His body moved before he could think, dodging the strike, but his movements were too fluid, too precise for a mere human. The assassin hesitated. "You still carry the remnants of what you were," the assassin sneered. "But you will never be one of us again." Aravi's blood ran cold. They knew. The Nagas knew he was still alive. And now, they were hunting him. "Run," she grabbed Vasuki's hand. He yanked it away. "Why are they after me?" She met his eyes, desperation in her voice. "Because you are not human." Something deep within him stirred. A dull ache in his head. Images, flashes of a world underwater, a throne, her face, but nothing made sense. The assassin lunged again. Vasuki moved purely on instinct. His hand shot out, gripping the assassin's wrist. And then, his pupils slit like a serpent's. A pulse of golden energy erupted from his body. The assassin screamed as the power sent him flying backward. The market erupted into chaos, people scattering. Aravi's breath caught. Vasuki. He stood there, frozen, his hands trembling. His golden eyes burned, his body shaking from something he didn't understand. He looked at her, confused, terrified. What am I? She stepped forward, placing a trembling hand on his chest. You are Vasuki, she whispered. The Naga Prince. For a long moment, he simply stared at her, breathing heavily. Then, in the distance, another hiss. More figures appeared, cloaked in black, their eyes glowing with vengeance. The Nagas were coming. And they would not stop until Vasuki was dead. The market was in chaos. Traders fled, knocking over baskets of spices and bolts of fabric. The air was thick with the scent of dust and fear. The dark-cloaked assassins advanced, their red eyes glowing beneath their hoods. Aravi grabbed Vasuki's hand again. We have to run. But he didn't move. He was staring at his own trembling hands, his golden eyes flickering between confusion and horror. What was that? You awakened your power, she whispered urgently. But they won't let you live now. We have to. Before she could finish, one of the assassins raised his hand, and a deadly hiss filled the air. A massive black serpent slithered from the shadows, its fangs bared, its eyes locked onto Vasuki. Aravi's heart stopped. Kill him, the assassin ordered. The serpent struck, lightning fast. Aravi shoved Vasuki aside, barely dodging the attack. The creature's fangs sunk into the sand where Vasuki had stood just moments before. Enough of this. Another assassin sneered. He is neither human nor Naga. He is an abomination. Vasuki's breathing grew ragged. Why are you calling me that? Aravi turned to him, desperation in her voice. Because they fear what you are. The assassins moved in. Aravi had no choice. She grabbed the dagger from Vasuki's belt, spun, and slashed at the nearest assassin. He hissed, barely dodging her strike. The others lunged forward, but Vasuki reacted on instinct again. His body moved like liquid, twisting unnaturally, his speed too fast for human eyes. Before he could think, his arm shot out, grabbing an assassin by the throat. The assassin choked, his eyes widening in horror. You still have. Vasuki's grip tightened. A sharp pain shot through his head. Memories. Flashes of a temple beneath water. A golden throne. A voice calling his name. He let go. The assassin collapsed, gasping for breath. Vasuki staggered back, gripping his head. What's happening to me? Aravi pulled his arm. If we don't leave now, you'll never find out. He didn't resist this time. They ran. The escape into the desert. Through the crowded market, past the crumbling sandstone walls of the city, they ran. The assassins followed, their serpentine forms shifting in the shadows. The gates of the city loomed ahead. Aravi's lungs burned, her heart pounding. We have to get to the dunes. They won't be able to track us in the storm. Vasuki looked at her. How do you know? She swallowed hard. Because I spent months preparing for this. They reached the gates just as the first hints of a sandstorm rose in the distance. Vasuki turned back. The assassins had stopped at the edge of the city, watching them with cold, reptilian stares. One of them, the leader, stepped forward. You cannot run from what you are, Vasuki. You belong to neither world. And soon you will belong to none. Vasuki shivered. There was something chilling about those words. Then, as the first gust of the storm hit, they disappeared into the desert. A night of truths. The sandstorm howled around them. Aravi led Vasuki to a hidden cave carved into a canyon, a place she had prepared just in case. They collapsed inside, exhausted. For a long time, neither spoke. The only sound was Vasuki's uneven breathing. Finally, he broke the silence. Tell me the truth, he whispered. Who am I? Aravi hesitated, watching him closely. He looked lost, his golden eyes filled with uncertainty. You were a prince, she said softly. The son of the Naga king. You ruled over an underwater kingdom, unseen by humans. Vasuki ran a hand through his hair, shaking his head. That doesn't feel real. It sounds like a story. It was real, Aravi whispered. And I was part of that story. His eyes locked onto hers. And you? Who were you to me? Her breath hitched. She could lie. She could tell him he was a warrior, a lost soul, anything that would keep him safe. But she couldn't. I was the girl you loved. A tense silence. Something flickered in Vasuki's gaze. Then he let out a quiet laugh, one filled with disbelief. I don't even remember my own name and you're telling me I loved you? Aravi's heart clenched. Yes, she whispered. He didn't answer for a long time. He simply stared at his hands, lost in thought. Finally, he whispered, then why do I feel like I've lost something I can never get back? Aravi reached for him. Because you have. He looked at her hand, almost as if he wanted to take it. Then, a deep hiss echoed through the canyon. Aravi's blood turned cold. Vasuki tensed. They found us. She shook her head. No. This was something worse. A shadow loomed at the entrance of the cave. A figure stepped inside, tall, his scales shimmering in the moonlight. His golden eyes were not filled with rage, but with something far more terrifying. Regret. The Naga King. You should not have come this far, my son, the king murmured. Vasuki stood slowly, his muscles tense. You know me? The king nodded solemnly. Aravi grabbed Vasuki's arm. Don't listen to him. But the king's gaze was on Vasuki alone. You are lost. And I have come to offer you a way out. Vasuki frowned. What do you mean? The king took a step forward. Your mind is broken, your memories shattered. You wander, uncertain of who you are. He raised a hand. I can fix that. Aravi's breath caught. No. The king ignored her. He placed a single finger on Vasuki's forehead. And then, a surge of golden energy exploded through the cave. Vasuki's body went rigid. His eyes glowed like fire. Aravi screamed. Vasuki. And then, his body collapsed. The Naga King turned to her, his expression unreadable. When he wakes up, he said quietly, he will remember everything. Aravi's heart pounded. That's what you wanted all along, isn't it? The king met her gaze. Yes. But you forget, child, memories come with a price. Her hand shook. What price? The king's eyes darkened. He will remember his love for you. Her breath caught. But he will also remember why he can never have you. Aravi's world shattered. The king turned, walking toward the entrance. When he wakes you will see the truth of the curse I placed upon him. And then, without another word, he was gone. Aravi knelt beside Vasuki, her hands trembling as she cupped his face. His breathing was shallow. His body was cold. And then, his fingers twitched. A deep breath. His golden eyes snapped open. Aravi held her breath as Vasuki's golden eyes snapped open. For a moment, he simply lay there, staring at the ceiling of the cave, his chest rising and falling in shallow breaths. Then, as if a dam had broken inside him, he inhaled sharply, his body convulsing. Memories of his kingdom, his father, his love for Aravi, came crashing back, flooding his mind like a raging river. He clutched his head, his fingers digging into his temples as pain racked his body. I remember his voice was hoarse, filled with agony. Aravi's heart pounded. She placed her hands on his shoulders. Vasuki, I'm here. Just breathe. But then, he turned to her. And the look in his eyes was different. It was full of love, deep, raw, unbreakable love. But also despair. A deep, soul-crushing despair. Aravi's hands trembled. What's wrong? Vasuki exhaled shakily. The curse. She swallowed hard. What did your father do to you? Vasuki clenched his fists. His voice was quiet, broken. He bound my fate to the Naga kingdom. If I choose to be with you, my life will wither. I will turn to dust. Aravi felt the ground slip away from beneath her. No, that's not possible. He let out a bitter laugh, his jaw tight. My father made sure of it. He knew I would always find my way back to you. So he cursed me with a choice. His golden eyes burned with sorrow. I can have my love for you, or I can have my life. But never both. Aravi felt like she was drowning. There has to be a way to break it. Vasuki smiled sadly. He reached up, brushing a strand of hair from her face. There isn't. Tears welled up in her eyes. Then we'll fight it. I don't care what it takes, I'll go to the gods if I have to. Vasuki shook his head. Aravi, his voice cracked. I don't want to leave you, but if I stay by your side, I will die. Tears spilled down her cheeks. Then what are we supposed to do? Just pretend we never loved each other? Just walk away? A single tear slipped from Vasuki's golden eyes. I don't know. Silence stretched between them, heavy and unbearable. Then, Vasuki took a deep breath and cupped her face in his hands. I have loved you in every lifetime, he whispered. And I will love you in every lifetime after this. But in this life I must leave you. Aravi's heart shattered. No, please. But Vasuki smiled, pressing his forehead against hers. This is not our end, he murmured. I will find you again. Before she could protest, he pulled away, stepping back into the moonlight. His body was already fading, turning into golden dust, carried away by the wind. Aravi reached for him, but he shook his head. Live, Aravi. And when we meet again, we will write a different ending. And then he was gone. His golden dust scattered into the night sky, blending with the stars. Aravi collapsed to her knees, silent tears streaming down her face. She had lost him. Again. But as she gazed up at the heavens, a strange warmth filled her heart. She knew. Somewhere, in another time, another life, he would find her again.